The film begins around 800 AD with a massive spaceship crashing onto Earth. It lands in a lake, and the resulting impact startles the nearby wildlife. Two humanoid figures in advanced spacesuits soon emerge from the debris. One figure urgently drags his injured companion to the shore. He removes his helmet and quickly faints while experiencing brief flashbacks of the past. When he regains consciousness several hours later, the spaceman realizes his companion has died from a serious chest injury. As he tries to comprehend what happened, he hears a robotic voice calling from a distance. He then spots his AI computer stranded and floating in the lake. He retrieves the device and instructs it to download all available data about this planet. The computer opens a compartment, transferring the entire data into the spaceman's eyes. Afterward, he buries his fallen ally and starts exploring the surrounding forest. He soon discovers a whale carcass next to a destroyed, abandoned village, indicating the attack was executed by something non-human. Suddenly, he feels he is being watched. He flees, but is intercepted by a horse rider who knocks him out. He is taken captive to a nearby Viking village surrounded by a wooden wall. In the center lies a grand hall where King Hrothgar trains his daughter, Freyja, in sword fighting. She tells her father she will not marry her suitor, Wulfric, who seeks the throne. Wulfric arrives, but his pedantic demeanor makes Freyja leave. Hrothgar and Wulfric discuss a devastating attack that destroyed a nearby village. Wulfric was investigating the cause of the attack when he stumbled upon the spaceman. He captures Kainan but doubts he belongs to any known village. Meanwhile, the captive is displayed before the villagers, who are astonished by his attire. Wulfric later takes Kainan into a hut for questioning. He asks for the spaceman's name, and Kainan claims it is Kainan, lying that he hails from a northern island and was merely on a hunting trip. Naturally, the men do not believe him, suspecting he attacked the nearby village. They bind Kainan to a wooden pole and leave him for now. Once everyone departs, Kainan attempts to escape using a nearby iron bar. He nearly succeeds when Freyja unexpectedly enters the hut. She reveals that Wulfric has asked her to tend to the prisoner's injuries. That evening, Hrothgar and Wulfric discuss the earlier village attack again. The king wants his men to seek out Gunnar, the chief of the destroyed village, to clarify they were not responsible for the assault. Back in the hut, Freyja questions Kainan about orchestrating the attack, but he vehemently denies it. As they converse, Kainan manages to break free and knocks Freyja out. Just as he is about to flee, a guard sounds his horn, signaling an enemy attack on the village. All the Vikings spring into action, believing it's Gunnar seeking revenge, but to their horror, they realize the enemy has already infiltrated the village. Unbeknownst to them, a predatory alien creature is attacking and killing villagers swiftly. Nearby, Kainan, seemingly aware of the situation, starts pursuing the beast, but it's too late. The mysterious monster seizes a guard and drags him to the edge of the wooden wall. Kainan shouts, calling the creature Moorwen, and prepares to follow it, but the Vikings once again capture him. They reprimand him and tie him to a rock. Exhausted, Kainan experiences flashbacks of the Moorwen attacking his world and slaughtering his people. The following day, he is brought to the Great Hall where Hrothgar awaits. The king allows Kainan to share his side of the story, and Kainan explains he was hunting a creature named Moorwen that attacked his people, using brilliant lights on its tail to lure prey. Kainan admits he accidentally brought the Moorwen to this village. Hrothgar scoffs at the absurdity of the tale. Kainan realizes the Vikings will hunt whatever attacked earlier and pleads for a chance to join them. Soon after, the Vikings and Kainan, now given his own horse, depart the village to locate the attacker. A smith named Boromir offers Kainan mead, but he spits it out. After some time, Wulfric discovers several corpses nearby and suggests forming separate expedition groups. Kainan strongly opposes this, but the king orders his men to search in pairs. Hrothgar and Boromir venture deeper into the forest, soon finding a severed horse head. Another duo discovers charred corpses outside a cave and foolishly decide to enter. Minutes pass, and the jungle echoes with terrifying screams from the cave. All the Vikings rush to the cave's mouth and charge inside to rescue their fellow villagers. They encounter a giant bear that attacks ferociously. A fierce struggle ensues, resulting in two more Vikings being torn apart. However, thanks to Kainan's bravery, the group manages to stab the bear multiple times, ultimately killing it. In the aftermath, Hrothgar rewards Kainan for his valor by granting him freedom. The village then hosts a feast to celebrate their triumph over the bear. Later that evening, during the festivities, Kainan adorns himself in Viking attire and sits beside the king. Wulfric, feeling slightly envious of Kainan's swift rise in status, challenges him to a game called Shields. In this game, several men stand in a square, forming a pathway with their shields. Competitors must climb and balance atop the shields. After a series of competitive maneuvers, Kainan eventually falls on Boromir. He does not act arrogantly and graciously helps his competitor up. It becomes clear that the two men have grown to trust one another. After leaving the Great Hall, Kainan encounters Freya, who thanks him for aiding her father during the expedition. Kainan explains that it was not the bear who killed her people, but the Moorwen, warning her that the beast could return at any moment. Their conversation is interrupted when Gunnar's men launch an abrupt attack on the village. The two factions engage in a fierce battle, where Kainan and Freya each take down several enemies. Hrothgar faces Gunnar, a large, burly, and prideful man. He knocks Hrothgar down and prepares to crush his skull, but Kainan intervenes just in time. As Gunnar regains his composure to counterattack, his men tackle him, insisting it's time to retreat. They leave hastily, but not before Gunnar accuses Hrothgar of murdering his family and people. Following this devastating skirmish, the village attempts to recover. Kainan sits with Freya, who explains the history of animosity between her village and Gunnar's. Years ago, Wulfric's father aimed to unite all villages for a strike against French invaders. Everyone attended except Gunnar, which Wulfric perceived as betrayal. Gunnar likely believed they attacked his village in revenge, leaving both villages with reasons to despise each other. In the woods outside the village, Gunnar's group plans another assault on Wulfric and his people. While devising a clever hit-and-run tactic, one man steps away to relieve himself near a lake, only to be attacked by the lurking Moorwen. Following this, the men begin to fall one by one, believing they're ambushed by Wulfric. However, Gunnar soon confronts the real threat, a massive wolf-like alien beast with several whips for a tail. This realization drives the survivors to flee back to Hrothgar's village. Shortly after, when Kainan sees Gunnar running toward them, he quickly opens the village gates. Everyone assumes he is admitting the enemy, and just as Wulfric prepares to kill Gunnar, they witness a series of blue lights in the woods. These lights ensnare a man before tearing him apart. The blue lights turn red, revealing the terrifying Moorwen, which escapes into the woods. The villagers finally grasp that Kainan was indeed telling the truth. That night, a meeting convenes in the Great Hall to discuss their next course of action. Kainan advises them that fighting the Moorwen in open fields is futile, necessitating a different strategy. The next day, the villagers start constructing a trap outside the main entrance. They dig a deep pit and fill it with highly flammable whale fat oil, driving poles into the ground, covering it with loose mud until it resembles another hut. Once everything is prepared, Freya and Kainan share a bowl of stew, during which he reveals a dark secret. His people are an advanced race that conquers other worlds. They expanded their territory and arrived on the planet of the Moorwens, decimating every organism there with advanced weapons and bombs. The remaining Moorwens were hunted down for control over the territory. Kainan was part of a space colonization force actively involved in genocide. In exchange for eradicating the Moorwens, he and his family were offered a place on the planet. Shortly after the conquest, Kainan left for a new mission. He had been away only a few days when he discovered that one Moorwen survived the genocide, wiping out his colony before hiding in his ship's ventilation. This same Moorwen now wreaks havoc in the village. Kainan blames himself for this oversight, but Freya reassures him not to be too hard on himself. To uplift his spirits, she gives him her family's sword for the impending battle. That night, the warriors open the doors, and Wulfric and Kainan venture outside, awaiting the beast's appearance. They wait patiently but see little due to the darkness and light snow. Kainan throws a torch into the forest, only to find the Moorwen right in front of them. This prompts them to rush back to the village, luring the beast. They step carefully onto the poles they had buried and emerge on the other side. The creature follows them into the hut and falls into the flammable liquid. Moments later, the archers shoot flaming arrows into the hut, resulting in a massive explosion. While everyone is astonished by the explosion's size, a new, smaller Moorwen appears in the village through a well. Freya and her father attempt to protect the villagers by confronting the beast, but the old king suffers fatal injuries. As if that weren't enough, the first Moorwen emerges from the flames, more furious than ever. Wulfric and Kainan decide to attack together, but they are no match for the monster. The formidable beast seizes a villager and retreats into the forest. The next morning, the entire village prepares to leave, fearing another attack. Kainan tells Wulfric, now the new king, that they must confront the monster together. They enlist a small group of men to descend into the well from which the baby Moorwen emerged. However, Kainan wants to forge stronger weapons first, using more durable materials. He takes Freya and Wulfric to the lake where his ship crashed to recover materials by diving. Kainan begins his underwater search and quickly locates his ship's wreckage, retrieving a large piece of metal from his home planet that is stronger, lighter, and more malleable. However, upon surfacing, he discovers their boat has been destroyed. Unconscious Wulfric floats on a piece of wood nearby, but Freya is nowhere to be found. With no other option, Kainan returns to the village with Wulfric. He hands Boromir the metal piece, enabling him to forge a new sword. With everything prepared, the group of Vikings descends into the well and unexpectedly finds themselves in a vast network of underground caves. In one dark cave, Freya awakens to find herself in a nest of monster corpses. She sees the baby Moorwen feeding on a nearby corpse. The creature turns its head, not to attack her, but as if sensing other intruders. Meanwhile, Kainan's group attempts to move forward stealthily when the baby Moorwen arrives. It quickly kills Boromir, but the other humans manage to fatally injure it due to their overwhelming numbers. Nearby, Freya hears the chaos and calls out for Kainan. He hears her, but so does the mother Moorwen, nursing her injuries from the earlier explosion. Kainan and Wulfric soon reunite with Freya, and the trio quickly exits the dark caves. They reach the edge of a waterfall on a mountain beside a cliff. Inside, the mother Moorwen sees her lifeless child, covered in bruises. This seemingly drives her into a fit of madness. Later, the surviving group tries to escape when Wulfric is suddenly attacked by the mother Moorwen. The newly crowned king realizes this is his end and fights fiercely against the beast. He desperately slashes at the creature's face while enduring brutal bites in return. Eventually, the Moorwen throws Wulfric's corpse toward Kainan, as if taunting him to fight. With no escape route, Kainan re-enters the cave with his sword, and a fierce battle ensues. The beast conducts swift hit-and-run attacks. Kainan, however, manages to sever a tentacle from its tail. The mother Moorwen is about to crush Kainan when Freya appears, attacking the beast and giving Kainan the perfect opportunity to lunge at it with full force. Ultimately, both of them tumble out of the cave, landing near the waterfall's edge. The beast clings desperately, its claws digging into Kainan's left arm as he remains on the ledge. In a moment of brilliance, Kainan uses his sword to sever the beast's hand, causing it to plummet into the void. In the aftermath of this devastating battle against the alien creature, Kainan chooses to remain in the Viking village. He decides to settle down with Freya and is soon declared the new king of the village. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.